Good evening and thank you for watching. Well, some former military members in Thunder Bay say they're disgusted by the planned shutdown of the local Veteran Affairs office. The federal government plans to close down 9 offices throughout the country. And on Thursday, vets gathered in both Ottawa and Thunder Bay discussing the impacts of the shutdown. Dennis Ward has more.
We're not interested in you anymore. We're done with you. That's what I take it as.
Jim Heald, like many veterans, is feeling betrayed by a government plan to shut down the Thunder Bay Veterans Affairs office. He still can't believe the closure is moving ahead.
I'm astonished to learn that they're closing our local office because I know how many people here locally in this region rely on it. And we're still creating veterans every day right here in Thunder Bay, and they're going to continue to need the service.
Heald was one of the local veterans who came out to watch a live webcast from Ottawa. That event included a speech by local World War II vet Roy Lamour. Robert Cutbush served 24 years in the Canadian Navy. He was injured while on duty in the South Pacific in 1991. Cutbush would typically visit the Veteran Affairs office once a month. He says he heard about the impending closure almost 2 years ago.
I was totally disgusted when I heard that. It's the Thunder Bay office covers such a large region. I'm fortunate that I live close to Thunder Bay, but I also, as a veteran, think of other veterans who live along the North Shore and up Geraldton Way, out Atikokan Way, Sioux Lookout Way, what's going to happen to my fellow shipmates and comrades.
At one time, the Thunder Bay office had 10 employees, but that has continued to decline ahead of the February 2014 closure. The Public Service Alliance of Canada says veterans will now have to travel to Kirkland Lake or Winnipeg to see someone in person.
You just can't believe that that they were going to just cut these people loose. The bureaucracies are getting more detailed. There's different forms, there's new procedures, and they believe that the real impact will be that people just won't get the services they need.
Everyone who took part in the event are hoping the federal government will have a change of heart and reverse the decision to close down the offices. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
The Kuwait and Patricia School Board received less than favorable scores on the recent provincial assessment, but Director of Education Sean Monteith says there is more things at stake for the students than meeting provincial expectations. The several challenges that Kuwaitan students are facing has caused the board to take an untraditional approach to education. Nate Jones reports.
Reading and writing are some of the pillar stones in a child's education. And for the Kuwait and Patricia School Board, low scores in reading comprehension and speech language have drawn attention from the media lately. But Director of Education Sean Monteith says there are some unique challenges its school system faces.
We have so many children coming to us that don't have necessarily the most basic skills ready that you might expect of a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, whatever those skills might normally be. So that will be our #1 priority, reading down low and reading comprehension, intervention for kids that have deficits.
Some of the reasons for these deficits are the increasing number of children with learning disabilities, children that are born with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder or born addicted to opioids. Monteith says staff and administration are going above the norm to assist these children. Stories of principals picking up kids for school and even assisting parents with grocery shopping are not uncommon.
We're doing what we feel we need to do, and our staff are telling us what they think we need to do, and we're listening as an administration. The real experts in our organization are on the front lines. These challenges are unique. We're up for the challenge, but it's not going to be reflected in results or provincial measurements alone.
Monteith left for Toronto after the interview to meet with the Ministry of Education. He was looking forward to the opportunity to voice some of the concerns he had regarding children in the education system. In the meantime, the board is offering full-day kindergarten programs in some of its schools, and it's the hope that this will bridge the gap until the full-day early learning kindergarten program is implemented province-wide in August of next year. Nate Jones, TBT News.
The Centre for Addiction and Mental Health is working on improving services in the justice and health sectors in Ontario. 18 collaboratives have been formed across the province in order to improve and enhance access to mental health and addiction services. Kenora is making its own contribution with a youth criminal justice collaborative. Nate Jones has more.
It was a morning of brainstorming and presentations to identify the gaps and bring together services related to mental health. This particular group in Kenora is focused on finding ways to assist youth in the justice system who may have mental health or addiction issues. Representatives from community support services, advocacy groups, and even the OPP all contributed to the meeting. Constable Bob Burney says the OPP's role in the system goes beyond locking people up.
I mean, it pays dividends on many, many levels. Not to mention, the cost of policing, the cost of communities, but also on an individual level, the youth involved and the community involved. So we see the importance and the merit of it, and as I say, we're strong supporters.
Solutions to applicable youth include prevention in the form of community support. The OPP also strongly believes in diversion programs and treatment services. Public health nurse Kim Elke works in harm reduction. She says because programs and services are funded on a population basis, it's important that organizations work together to serve clients better.
So we really try to do the most that we can with our healthcare dollars. So instead of projects working parallel to one another, we're really trying to meet collaboratively and working off the same platform so we can do more with our funding dollars.
Rob Moore from the Center for Addiction and Mental Health says a common issue that many organizations face is the vast geography of the Northwest. He believes there is a lot of work to be done to close some of these gaps, but he's confident Kenora organizations can achieve this goal.
I also heard a lot about a number of initiatives that are going on. So there's a lot of positive work going on here, and it really is a question for us about how to support and align our resources with the work that's going on in the local community.
The province expects these collaborations will shorten wait times in community and hospital-based services while providing relief to a taxed healthcare system. The next collaborative meeting in Kenora is expected to take place next month. Nate Jones, TBT News.
From collaboration in mental health services to collaboration in different cultures, a 3-day conference hosted in Kenora brought together people under the Treaty 3 jurisdiction. Both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal shared thoughts, ideas, and experiences that have benefited their communities by working together. Nate Jones was there.
A strong theme was prevalent throughout the 3-day conference. We are all in this together. Leaders from various communities called this a continuation of a conversation that began 140 years ago with the signing of the Treaty 3 document. It's the hope that by strengthening these relationships, economic prosperity and solutions to social issues will ensue.
It's really about sharing best practices and sharing strategies, as well as collaborating new ideas into moving forward. So some of the delegates here, I think, may not have been involved in processes yet. So this is an eye-opener for them on maybe tips and tricks for them to take home.
There are other benefits to working together that have already been shown in the township of Sioux Lookout. Through shared common interests, partnerships to build infrastructure and create jobs in the natural resource sector have fostered working relationships. Town Mayor Dennis Lenny says that we are all treaty people, and these initiatives are working within their communities.
Like right now, Lac Seul is running the forest operations, which supplies wood for our mill in Hudson, which also supplies jobs for the First Nations people from Lac Seul. So right there is a good indication of why we're working together. Like, it's their wood, it's our mill. We hire their people, everything's good.
Lenny and the chief of the Lac Seul First Nation were speaking at the conference regarding the Friendship Accord that was signed between their communities last year. He would like to see even more First Nations communities sign the accord, and that's already beginning to happen. Slate Falls has already done so, and later on in October, the Cat Lake First Nation will follow suit. Chief Clifford Bull says the accord is benefiting both of their communities.
We've had a very excellent relationship with the municipality. They've come to our community, we've come to theirs. We do things together jointly, and we talk frequently on common goals.
The dialogue has been taking place, and it would seem this is only the beginning of many more new relationships. Nate Jones, TBT News.
A new project is being launched to help people in remote communities seize opportunities from proposed resource development. The Anishinaabe Development Fund recently received $4.4 million to help encourage entrepreneurship. The NADF pulled together a number of individuals and organizations who work closely with First Nations. Project manager Colleen Martin hopes they will embrace a pay-it-forward philosophy. Martin says the goal is to attract partners who can add their expertise and their knowledge.
First Nations will recognize that there's support for what they're trying to do in the communities, because sometimes you only hear the negativity, and there are a lot of people in the community at large that are supportive and that want to help, but they don't know what to do. So here's an opportunity for them to come and find out what can they do to help.
Martin says receiving the $4.4 million was unimaginable and more than they've ever had. The money will be used to implement programs over the next 3 years. The Liberal government is continuing to invest in northern highways. Almost 70 new jobs will be created in the improvement of infrastructure along Highway 11. More than 20 kilometers will be repaved to improve safety. The $6.7 million contract has been awarded to Pioneer Construction. Minor work has already begun, but the work will be put on hold throughout the winter months until spring of next year. Since 2007, almost $110 million has been invested in improvements along Highway 11. The nuisance bear problem across the province made its way to Queen's Park again this week. We have the details on that story coming up after the break. At Queen's Park, continued problems with bears were once again the focus of debate on Thursday. The latest questions came following the unprovoked attack on a Peterborough woman last weekend. NDP member John Van Toff joined the course, demanding Natural Resource Minister David Orazietti make immediate changes in provincial bear policies.
Bear attacks are getting harder and harder to ignore, as the minister has acknowledged. Will it take a bear on the south lawn of Queen's Park to force the ministry to do its job and manage wildlife?
I take the member's point. This is not an issue that we have been neglecting. This is an issue we take very seriously, and we are developing a plan.
In our region, there is support from a regional organization for a return of the spring bear hunt. The Northwestern Ontario Sportsmen's Alliance is backing MPP Bill Morrow's private members bill that would increase the number of opportunities to hunt bears. John Kaplanis is the executive director of the Sportsmen's Alliance. He says the organization estimates the population of black bears at around 150,000 across the province. The current fall bear hunt ends on October 31st, but Kaplanis says that most bears are denned up by then. With the number of nuisance and dangerous encounters with bears on the rise, he believes there are no other alternatives.
The spring bear hunt or some early season form of management is by far a better means to get the numbers under control, eliminate dangerous nuisance encounters, And I think that Bill Morrow's acknowledged that with his private member's bill. And it's going to, I think, enhance discussion in government.
Kaplanis acknowledges the bill has a slim chance of passing, but he's encouraged by the discussion. He also adds that there are millions of tourism dollars available if the province was to reinstate the spring hunt. Gull Bay First Nations school kids had to deal with a long commute to class over the past year, and that will continue for the time being. The school on the reserve remains closed to the 45 students, so the kids have been attending Armstrong Elementary School since last spring, which is nearly an hour away. However, the Band Council is optimistic about potential funding for a new school. According to Gull Bay Chief Wilfred King, this was supposed to be a temporary structure, and it was supposed to be replaced many years ago. The school was closed due to a lack of funding, which King says was caused due to the alleged mismanagement of funds by the former Band Council. Concerns were also raised over a possible mold problem and the condition of the building. An independent investigation found there wasn't any mold issues. King says they may find out in the coming weeks about some new funding that could help replace the structure.
It's an AFN initiative in conjunction with the Paul Martin Foundation, and we're hoping that this will be launched very soon as well. It was only supposed to be a temporary school back in 1996, I believe, and it's been a long time coming, and we definitely need a new school, a school that's very functioning and that sort of thing.
King adds that despite the long bus ride to Armstrong, parents in the community have been pleased with the education their children have been receiving. Well, if you've ever had a hard time finding a place to stay in Greenstone, you're not alone. It's a recurring problem expressed by mining companies working in the area and in the Ring of Fire. And besides the lack of available accommodations, there's also a shortage of large meeting spaces. Dennis Ward has more on the efforts to fill the void.
There's a need now. There's an absolute need now.
Greenstone Economic Development Officer Vicki Blanchard says there's no doubt more hotel rooms and meeting space are a must. The municipality has just under 300 beds spread throughout a very large area, and a common complaint, not just from those working in the mining sector, is a lack of rooms.
We don't have a lot of available space at this time. Most visitors are having difficulty being able to stay more than 1 or 2 nights. So we're hoping that an expansion of accommodations will attract those people back to stay longer.
Council has hired a consultant to look at the current shortage of hotel accommodations. The mayor says the entire municipality will be studied, but Geraldton in particular should be looked at for a new hotel.
We're looking at declaring surplus property, and when surplus property is declared in a community such as Greenstone, the door will be open to all propositions, and we're hoping that someone locally will provide that opportunity to build something in the area.
Earlier this year, the municipality was trying to entice companies to construct a new hotel on the Geraldton waterfront right next to the town office.
We had a lot of interest, but no success in ensuring that we could attract a company to come here. We again have some interested companies that are looking and investors, and to secure that and to work with the province and federal governments to ensure that we do have the accommodations for the growth in the region.
The consultant's report is expected back by next February or sooner. Blanchard says some investors may want to break ground on a new facility next spring. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
A deal to transfer the former Marathon pulp mill to an American-based company has once again been delayed, and it's caught Marathon municipal officials off guard. The Ministry of the Environment confirmed the proposed agreement between the current owners will be finalized on October 25th. The agreement between current owner Tembec and the St. Louis-based Green Investment Group was supposed to go through this coming week, but officials from both sides will not comment as negotiations continue. However, Marathon Mayor Rick Dumas is looking for answers as to why there is yet another delay. Highway 1117 west of Thunder Bay was closed early Monday morning after 2 transport trucks collided into one another, and the OPP is warning drivers to stay alert and focused when driving for an extended length of time. The collision occurred just before 5 o'clock in the morning between Wraith and Chappaqua. Police say 2 transports, one eastbound and one heading west, collided, sending both vehicles into the ditch. One of the drivers was sent to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. There was significant damage to both of the vehicles. One driver has been charged with driving without due care and attention. Having enough power to support the growing Northwest region continues to be a concern. We have a story on that coming up next. Ensuring there is enough power generation for future growth is critical, according to Greenstone's Economic Development Officer. Vicki Blanchard says there are plenty of opportunities in the area aside from the Ring of Fire, but she worries the current grid may not be able to handle it. Greenstone has partnered with senior levels of government to work on a Northwestern Ontario transmission project. Blanchard says the $100,000 study is in addition to $250,000 already spent on other analysis. She says providing new and additional power to the area is extremely important.
Right now, we've already experienced some weakness in the system and in the grid, so we want to make sure that we can grow with the Northwest. We have lots of opportunity other than the Ring of Fire. We have 2 sawmills that want to come back online. We have Premier Girls Project in Gerald Tim Ward, and we look forward to seeing that those projects also are feasible.
Greenstone is covering 10% of the cost of the study. Those working on the transmission project hope if they do the groundwork, the province will take quick action to get energy projects up and running. There's a new building in Thunder Bay that's welcoming all people to learn, heal, and accept one another. The Blue Sky Community Healing Center held its grand opening on Friday. Located on Victoria Avenue East in Thunder Bay, it will house small businesses dedicated to people's well-being. Cindy Crow is the lodge keeper of the Grey Wolf Traditional Teaching Lodge, and it's been her dream that's made the center a reality. She says the main goal is to promote unity in the community. All Aboriginal and non-Aboriginals are welcome to take part in things like sharing in wisdom circles, movie nights, and open mic events. Crow says the center has been 8 years in the making, so it's an emotional time for her, and it's about providing options.
There's people that are staying at the shelter house or John Howard or other places, and they may not have other options, other things to do, and we're hoping that this center provides them that option. We're very welcoming. We promote simple things like love, kindness, caring, and sharing. That's what we're all about.
I think it's going to make a contribution to rebuilding this part of the community. The fact that this building is going to host a number of small businesses is a positive thing for the area, and I'm hoping that they all succeed and they all make their contribution to the community.
Events at the center have already been taking place for a few weeks now. For a full list of programming, you can visit the center's website. A Shop Local campaign in Fort Frances is proving to be very successful. The Go Local program was launched a little more than a year ago. More than 40 local businesses have signed on so far. Loyalty cards for shoppers were introduced just 6 months ago, and more than 2,500 have been handed out. Economic Development Officer Tanis Drysdale believes every household in Fort Frances now has a loyalty card. She also mentions that the campaign isn't just about encouraging the importance of shopping local in a border town.
It doesn't matter whether you're on the border or not these days. The internet's there, and big cities are right next door. And even if you're in Thunder Bay, there's another big city just one quick plane ride away. We live in a world economy, and we embrace that here in Fort Frances. So what we really talked about is using the same tools that big box retailers use to encourage an enthusiasm for shopping local.
Drysdale says more than $7,000 in gift cards have been awarded to shoppers since that loyalty program started 3 months ago. The structure has been a part of the Dryden skyline for about a century now, and throughout the years it's changed ownership and shape several times. The Domtar mill celebrated 100 years of pulp production just last week. The Dryden Power and Timber Company operated the first mill in 1913. It was the first craft pulp mill in northwestern Ontario. The first paper-making machine was installed in 1918, and since then, technology and operating practices have changed dramatically. The pulp mill changed hands twice before becoming part of Domtar in 2007. Today, it produces over 328,000 tons of pulp annually. A community picnic was held last week in celebration of the milestone. More than 400 people and businesses gathered in North Bay on Thursday for the 27th Annual Northern Ontario Business Awards. Over 100 entrepreneurs and businesses were nominated this year, with 11 taking home awards. Thunder Bay company KVM Resources Group took home the Export Award for notable growth in international sales. There were 10 categories in total, including Company of the Year and Entrepreneur of the Year. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Northwest Newsweek. We'll see you again next time.